So let's go ahead and retrieve and set the source key. And of course, I'll explain what the source key is and where we're going to set it and so on. Okay. All right. For this, we need the student files. I already have opened the, I've logged in into the no name LMS and I have registered for NS301. And I want to scroll all the way to the bottom of the list of the recordings that you're actually watching. And I want to point out that you have a set of student files, right? I want you to download these student files. Download them, please. Okay, so download them. Save like this. Okay. Okay. Um, use your favorite editor. We don't need this. You don't need to be here anymore. At least I don't need to, so I can close this window. So we need to unzip it. Now I do happen to have an editor that actually can extract automatically and take a look inside all those files, right, that are inside the zip. So I'm going to open my editor. Here it is. Emacs is the editor of choice for me. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and go under my downloads folder. And here's the two files, right? Here's the NS301 no name install files. If I selected, you will see I'm able to read the contents of the corresponding zip file. You guys, you probably want to unzip if you don't have this capability. So unzip it using any tools of your choice. And as soon as you do the unzipping, you can come back in here, right? You can pause, unzip, and so on. And there's two packet pairs, two JSON files. Default engine packet pair, remote engine packet pair. I'm going to open the default engine packet pair for start. And this is what the packet pair data structure looks like, right? If I'm to increase its size, the font size. There's a source that contains the type, the index, and the key. The type identifies the integration. Every single integration has a number associated with it. 7 is Kong. And then you may have multiple Kong integrations, right? So if that's the case, how would you be able to identify which one you're dealing with? Well, we also have an index. And on top of all that, we identify individual integrations using a UUID, right? Universal, unique identifier, and so on, right? So that key is unique to every single one of us. I cannot just share my source key. You need to track it down. We need to track it down. Okay? All right. All right. So where do I track it down? Well, same exact thing. You have another. I'm going to go back to the downloads. Right? You have another file. You have the no name security Kong policy.zip, right? So if I go under this zip file, now I'm going to see schema.lua. Those of you who are familiar with Kong and how Kong plugins work, you should be able to recognize this structure. This is nothing else but a Kong plugin using Lua, which is the language that Kong makes use of, right? Schema is the one that contains all the parameters. You can see the engine URL, and this URL to the points to the integrated engine, right? That default engine we selected earlier on, right? You can actually, if you have a look at your no-name platform, let's go back to the no-name platform. EC2, 3, 140, 196, 172, right? So if I go back, EC2, 3, 140, 196, 172, it's the same exact host. The source key is right here. No name source key. The index is 1. The type is 7. Exactly the same values like before. Right? So this is the value we're interested in. This is it. Okay? And of course, what we want to do is we want to copy this value in our clipboard, edit, copy, and we want to head back to our packet pair. So I'm going to select the packet pair again, and I'm going to paste it right here. And I need to do the same exact steps for the other file. All right. Don't forget to save. Let's go back. Need to do that for the remote as well. Now, the only thing I explained for this packet pair is the source that identifies the actual integration. You have another section called IP that identifies the IPs, where is the source, what's the destination IP, then the ports that are used by TCP to communicate the HTTP request and the HTTP response, and so on, right? And under the HTTP section is where you will see the actual request and the actual response. In fact, the protocol is identified under V. The request is this whole thing, containing a timestamp, containing the method, the URL, the path, in other words, the different request headers, the request body, it's right underneath. That's your HTTP protocol. Any authorization used. This is a bearer token. I can tell you right now, this is a JWT, JSON Web Token. And then the response with another timestamp and the status, whether it's successful, this one is successful, the response headers along with the response body, right? And the response body is normalized. Pay attention to this. The response body is normalized. Normalized URL encoded, right? Single line and so on. Escaped. Okay. So now we have the packet pairs. We identified the two packet pairs. And by the way, these two packet pairs are also identical. The only difference is the remote has a dev@acmeairline.com, so that at least we can separate the host, and the default doesn't. Default has acmeairline.com. Okay, just quickly. All right. So we're done with this section where we identify the packet pairs and we inject the source key. Okay, for our integration, and this value is unique to every single one of us. Keep that in mind. You can't use this 7B going all the way to 5D8. You have to use your own, otherwise you're going to fail. Okay. All right, good. And with this, we've concluded the second section, retrieve and set the source key. And of course, we also explained the packet pair structure. Okay. All righty. Section end.